I think these skills are something that we really look for, because in a fast-paced environment, when things are changing every day, you need someone who's able to take action and be proactive about it and lead from the front.
Welcome back to Gen Z Talks. Today, we're going to be speaking about e-commerce and opportunities in this area and skills required to stand out as a candidate. We are delighted to be joined by a special guest from Thailand. She's a senior talent acquisition specialist, and she's going to be sharing her insights as to what makes a good candidate and what CEOs and hiring managers are looking for. I'm delighted to welcome Shweta Menon.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Perhaps we can start by discussing your experiences and your background in terms of what you've been doing so far with your career.
Yeah, sure. So just to introduce myself, I'm Shweta. I live in Thailand, and I've been living here for about 15 years now. So I grew up over here, did my high school here, my bachelor's over here, and I joined the corporate world after I graduated. So I've been working for almost 3.5 years now, and I am in the talent acquisition field. So initially I joined as a recruitment consultant, working for an executive search company here in Thailand, mostly doing a lot of executive search work in Southeast Asia. And then I moved on to an e-commerce enabler, which is quite prominent here in Southeast Asia. And I am the senior talent acquisition specialist. So I handle the recruitment and talent acquisition management for Thailand and as well as other countries in Southeast Asia as well.
Young people are having to consider their career paths, reconsider about upskilling in areas they may not have considered. So what I want to discuss today is, to start off with the area you specialize in, e-commerce. What opportunities are out there and what skills should young people be focusing on who are considering going into the e-commerce sector?
I think in e-commerce, one of the top skills that what we really look for to begin with would be focusing on digital marketing. So I think that's a very, very useful skill to have these days. I mean, everything's going tech now. Most people are doing online. Most people are selling online. So learning how to sell online and managing marketing online is actually a really important skill to have. It's actually easier said than done. So, from things like SEO, SEM, Google ads, Facebook ads, like so many of these different types of skills are there. So I think that's very valuable to have. Secondly, I think if you're leaning more towards the tech side of it, I think we've been working as a developer, whether it's a data scientist or a full stack developer or anything like that. That's something that's really valuable in an e-commerce industry, because you have to set things up for clients, you have to build the framework for them online, from websites and managing it. So having that sort of background is really, really valuable in e-commerce, and that's something that we particularly look for as well.
In terms of the conversations you're having with hiring managers and CEOs in kind of e-commerce companies, what are they saying to you in terms of the candidate that they want? What specific brief are they giving you when you go to look and search for the talent in e-commerce?
So, to begin with, you look at the technical skills, right? That's the initial aspect of it that you firstly look at. So technical skills is, of course, the main important thing. But if you're looking at more soft skills and personality, I would say to work in an e-commerce environment, it's very flexible. So you need to be able to work in a very fast-paced environment. Things change from day to day. It could be one thing today and it could be another thing the next day. So being very flexible and adaptable to these sort of environments is a very important skill to have. Secondly, I would think having strong ownership skills and leadership skills are very, very important. These days, I would say for the younger generation, it's important to identify and understand what exactly you need in order to be a good leader. That can be from actually influencing or having good persuasion skills, or having good ownership in taking things into account. Your own responsibilities. Managing them. So I think these skills are something that we really look for, because in a fast-paced environment, when things are changing every day, you need someone who's able to take action and be proactive about it and lead from the front. So you want someone to be able to have the right mindset and not be afraid of a challenge. On top of that, I would say someone who's quite strong in their communication. So, I mean, you're going to be dealing with all sorts of different people, whether it's clients, stakeholders, people internally, other, cross-functionally. You're working with many different departments. So having that ability to communicate really well with these different stakeholders is very, very important. Lastly, being driven. Ambition is something that is the main aspect any hiring manager would look for in any company. Having goals in your mind and reaching your goals. Being proactive, working hard, working smart towards these goals is very, very important.
How and where do young people develop these skills? Because sometimes, it's difficult to know what environments you should be putting yourself in, what networks you can look for, what training you can find on the internet, because there's so many courses being thrown at you on the internet. It's hard to know which are credible. So do you have any recommendations in terms of where and how?
I mean, these courses that are given online, I mean, there's a lot of courses now from like the, Ivy League schools out there online where you can really learn about it. But personally, I feel that having a more face-to-face interaction with a number of different people is more valuable. So getting a mentor is probably something that would be very valuable. I mean, I myself have one, and I've had many in the past as well. And I continue to find different sort of mentors out there. And my way of doing it is to actually, research and network with different types of people who are sort of in the similar field as I am in right now, and reaching out to them to just have a chat with them and discuss with them, and ask them if they're open to even considering being a mentor. And most of the time, a lot of senior leaders in the industry would love to share their advice and their knowledge to the younger generation. So actually doing that would be really, really, useful. And, just talking to them about, your thoughts and your strategies and what they think about it and what their suggestions are, your goals, and you have some sort of guidance there. And I think that's really important. So whether you're in university right now and you're looking to get a job, I mean, there are so many career coaches in university who could potentially be your mentor. So working with them, asking them questions, and sort of having that synergy with them would be really important.
In terms of the CVs you're seeing in e-commerce and the successful candidates who you're dealing with, from start to finish to the interview stage, how is the successful candidate standing out on their CV application and also in the interview?
So I'll start off with the CV. So initially with CV, I think a successful candidate, I mean, a strong CV really, really stands out. As a recruiter, you look at CVs all day. You're managing that, so a strong CV and a CV that needs improvement. So for me, I would say a CV that is quite strong would be. I mean, I would suggest to keep it to a minimum of 1 page, but if needed, it can go to 2 pages. In terms of content, most of the most impressive CVs that I have seen are usually talking a lot about the impact that they have done, whether it's in university, whether it's the activities that they've taken up, or anything that they've done outside in terms of their educational aspect of it. But if they're maybe just got 1 or 2 years work experience, they've talked a lot about the impact and the results that they've given to the company. In terms of interviews, preparation. You can tell when a candidate has prepared for the interview and when they haven't. So when they come in prepared, whether they've gotten they've got a number of different questions to ask about the company. If they've read up about our company beforehand, and they have a number of different questions to ask there. I think that's very, very impressive. When they have actually looked into how to improve their interviewing skills and learning how to present themselves well, you can tell when they have actually prepared here. So these are the two aspects of it. I would say improving and making sure your resume is really well written, and preparing before an interview, doing your research, really understanding what exactly the company does, and preparing some questions and answers that you think could really impress the interviewers, but at the same time, be yourself.
I just wondered how accepting employers are of having a side hustle on the side of a full-time job. Is this something they're kind of welcoming, or are they being strict about this?
So I think in the e-commerce field, I think that's something that's quite impressive actually, because if you're young and you're already, you already have a startup and you're already entering that world, I think it shows a lot of courage over there. So I think that's something a lot of hiring managers and myself, I would be particularly impressed by it, because they were not afraid to get into something new like this, to understand the real deep details of how a startup works and what you need to do in order to make sure that it actually successfully is launched. I would say when I see that, I'm always ready to talk to these candidates. I want to understand what made them decide to do this. What was their motivation? What's their goals? What are they looking to achieve from doing this? So I'm actually all for that.
What positive words of advice or tips you have for young people who are about to start work, or are in the studies still, but will be starting within the next couple of years? What can they be doing now to make them stand out as a candidate in the future?
Okay, so the first one being, take up a lot of activities, be proactive and lead a lot of different activities, whether it's from volunteer work or whether it's from managing a club or opening some sort of club, or whether you are teaching and you're promoting some sort of course, or you're doing something like that, but some sort of work that makes you stand out from most of the other candidates, and doing a lot of extracurricular activities. I think that's really, really important to have that on your resume. I mean, even doing a couple of internships, whether you're working as there are so many opportunities, whether you're an intern or a management trainee working in a multinational company, having that can really boost your CV. Just to get into the corporate world and working in the corporate world. So doing that and trying to get something like that, I think that's really, really important. Third would be to get a mentor, to find a mentor, to sort of guide you, to help you identify what areas you can work with, and what areas you actually enjoy. You should be doing something that you're passionate about, that you actually want to do and that you're enjoying. So having a mentor to help you with that will definitely be, will save you a lot of time, I would say. So I would say these would be the 3 tips. Yeah.